Welcome to the Workplace Minute, powered by H3HR Advisors and sponsored by WorkHuman. Thanks for joining me for your quick update on what's important in the world of work. My name is Steve Boese. Welcome back to our special three-part Workplace Minute series examining how artificial intelligence is shaping and changing the U.S. labor market. In part one, we explored how AI is not replacing the labor market as much as it's dividing it, creating different opportunities and different risks for different groups of workers. And in part two, we looked at why the labor market can appear healthy on paper, while many workers continue to feel increasingly anxious and uncertain about their future. Today, I want to bring those ideas together by asking what may be the most important question of all, which is this. If AI is fundamentally changing how work is organized, how jobs are designed, and how business decisions are made, what responsibilities do employers have to the people doing the work? Throughout history, every major technological revolution has eventually required society to establish some new rules. During the Industrial Revolution, those rules included workplace safety standards, limits on child labor, and eventually the 40-hour workweek. And as computers and the internet transformed business, we developed new expectations around things like privacy, accessibility, equal opportunity, security, and the responsible use of digital information. And in almost every case, the technology moved much faster than the policy. Innovations happened first, and the rules that protected workers and consumers came later. Artificial intelligence appears to be following the same path. Today, AI is already helping organizations recruit candidates, screen resumes, evaluate employees' performance, generate training materials, forecast worker needs, schedule workers, answer employee questions, write the software, analyze contracts, summarize meetings, and increasingly make recommendations that influence important decisions about people's careers. AI may not be making those decisions independently, but it's becoming deeply embedded in the processes that shape things like hiring, promotion, development, and workforce planning. And when technology begins influencing decisions about people's livelihoods, fairness becomes just as important as efficiency. But unfortunately, many of today's conversations around AI inside organizations remain focused almost entirely on productivity. Leaders ask how many hours AI can save, how much faster can work be completed, or how much operating costs can be reduced. Now, those are all perfectly reasonable business questions, and every organization has an obligation to try to improve performance and remain competitive. But workers are asking a very different set of questions. They want to know how AI will change their own jobs, and they wonder how their performance will be evaluated if AI begins completing parts of their work. And they want to understand whether becoming more productive through AI will create opportunities for them for higher pay, career advancement, or greater flexibility, or whether it will simply convince the organization that fewer people are needed. Above all, workers want to know where they fit into the future that their employers are building with AI. Now, those aren't really technology questions at all. Those are questions about trust. One of the most important lessons emerging from this first wave of enterprise AI adoption is that organizations can't simply announce an AI strategy and expect employees to enthusiastically embrace it. People need to understand how they fit into that strategy, and workers have consistently demonstrated that they're remarkably adaptable. Over generations, they've learned new technologies, embraced new ways of working, and developed entirely new skills whenever organizations invested in helping them succeed. What people struggle with is not change itself. They struggle with uncertainty. And that distinction is incredibly important. If AI is introduced primarily as a cost-cutting initiative, employees naturally will begin wondering whether they are helping to train the technology that will eventually replace them. If, on the other hand, AI is introduced as a partner that removes repetitive work, allows employees to focus on higher value activities, and creates opportunities to learn new skills and solve more meaningful problems, then the entire conversation changes. The technology may be exactly the same, but the experience of workers is fundamentally different because the organization's intent is fundamentally different. So that's why I believe trust will become one of the defining competitive advantages of the AI era. The organizations that earn the greatest confidence from their employees won't necessarily be the ones with the most sophisticated AI models or the largest technology budgets. They'll be the organizations that communicate openly, invest consistently in workforce development, explain how AI will be used, and demonstrate through their actions that AI is being deployed to strengthen the workforce rather than simply reduce it. Those organizations are far more likely to have employees who will be willing to experiment, to innovate, and to embrace change because they believe leadership is investing in their future as well. So this is also where HR has an especially important role to play. For a long time, HR has often been asked to just help organizations manage change after the strategic decisions have already been made. The AI era demands more. HR should be helping shape those decisions from the very beginning. Leaders need to ask not only what AI can do, but what it should do. They should be asking about who benefits from a particular AI initiative, who may be negatively affected, what new skills employees will need, and how success will be measured beyond productivity, and how worker confidence will be monitored over time. Those are more than HR questions. They're strategic business questions that will influence an organization's culture, reputation, and long-term performance. Ultimately, the future of work will be determined by more than the use of artificial intelligence. It will be determined by the choices people make about how artificial intelligence is deployed. AI will continue to become more capable. There's little doubt about that. What remains uncertain is whether organizations will use these capabilities to create better work, better careers, greater opportunity, or whether they simply use AI to accomplish the same work with fewer people. That decision is not being made by algorithms. That's being made by executives and managers and policymakers and investors and business leaders every single day. Now, as we conclude this 3-part series on the Workplace Minute, perhaps that is the most important lesson of all. The future of work is not simply a technology story. It's a leadership story. It's a public policy story. But above all else, it's a human story. The organizations that thrive over the next decade will not be those who simply adopt AI the fastest. They will be the ones that earn the confidence of their people while navigating one of the most significant workplace transformations in generations. Thank you for joining me for this special 3-part series on how artificial intelligence is reshaping the American labor market. I hope these conversations have challenged you to think differently about the changes unfolding all around us. AI will continue to evolve, but the decisions we make today about trust, opportunity, fairness, and investment in people will determine whether this technology ultimately creates a better future of work or not. Until next time, remember work matters because people matter. And a big thank you to WorkHuman for supporting the Workplace Minute. And be sure to subscribe to the HR Happy Hour Network on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Steve Boese, and this has been the Workplace Minute from H3 HR Advisors.